So ALGO managed to tap into this region that I set out previously, where I mentioned how we could have topped off at this level. And that top sits at 19.22 cents. And yeah, following this move, we then saw some volatility take place where we saw that pump to the upside and another push to the downside. And so it will be interesting to see if we continue to see that move to the downside where we go even deeper within this range here, or we see a reversal to the upside where we continue to see high highs. And if we do manage to see a continuation to the downside, then what we'll be forming is a double XY structure where we had that W wave play out and the X wave play out, and then we have this move to the downside where we could potentially be within this Y wave. And that Y wave will typically retrace anywhere between 1 to 1.226 of this W wave. And so we could see ALGO reach anywhere between 16.14 cents to 16.63 cents. So anywhere within this range here. And for us to see a reversal take place and see that push to the upside, then what we need is for ALGO to have bottomed out at this level. And that level sits at 16.94 cents and have a WXY structure form, with this being the W wave, this being an X wave, and this being a Y wave. And this X wave would typically retrace anywhere between 50 to 80.2% of the W wave. So using the Fib tool. So you can see that the 88.2% retracement level sits at 17.16 cents. And we ended up reaching 17.14 cents, so slightly deeper than the 18.2% retracement level. And so it will be interesting to see if the bottom is set at this level and then we see that continuation to the upside. And if that's the case, then this Y wave again would typically retrace anywhere between 1 to 1.226 of the W wave. So if I bring in the Fib tool once again, and so what we could see is ALGO reach anywhere between 19.09 cents to 19.58 cents. So anywhere within this region here. And so yeah, in order for us to determine what's actually taking place, whether or not we see that move to the downside or that push to the upside, what I'll do is dissect what actually took place within this recent move to the downside. And so if I remove this, and so it looks like we had a five-way structure that took place. However, this move here looks to be made up of a WXY structure. So what we could have forming right now is a WXYXZ structure, where this would be the W wave, this would be the X wave, this could be the Y wave, an X wave, and a Z wave to the downside. And that Z wave would typically retrace anywhere between 1 to 1.226 of the W wave. If I bring this to over here and check to see if, so it looks like we didn't break this level at 17.76 cents. So it's possible that the X wave ended up topping off at that level. If I bring this to you over here, just double check, 17.66 cents, yep. So if I go on the 5-minute chart, and so that Z wave would typically retrace anywhere between 1 to 1.226. So we could see that deeper move to the downside where we reach anywhere between 16.79 cents to 16.95 cents. And so yeah, for that to play out, then we need to break this level at 17.14 cents. And here it looks like what we had formed was a WXY structure. So if I bring in the Fib tool, and here you can see that the Y wave met the typical requirements, which is anywhere within this region here. And so it's possible that this WXY structure is now complete and we see that retracement to the downside, where we could anticipate a 50 to 80% retracement of this wave structure. And so we're looking for that move of anywhere between 17.2 cents to 17.39 cents. And of course, we have tapped into that region. And so here, it's possible that we had a double X Y structure formed also. So if I go in the minute chart now and just zoom in slightly. And again, that while we would typically retrace anywhere between 1 to 1.226, and we've just about extended beyond the 1.226 level, where we ended up reaching 17.3 cents. And so within this move here, it looks like we had a 5-wave structure, where this is wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and that 5th wave would typically retrace anywhere between 1.226 to 1.618 of the wave 4. And we extended beyond the 1.618 level, as you can see. And so it will be interesting to see if we ended up actually bottoming out at this level at 17.3 cents, and then we see that push to the upside, where what we could see is a corrective move play out, followed by another push to the downside, where we could go slightly deeper within this range here. So for that to play out, then what we need essentially is for ALGO to not find support within this range and see that move to the downside. And if we do manage to find support at this level, then it's possible that we have a bigger double XY structure that's forming, with this being a W wave, this being an X wave, and this being a Y wave to the upside. And then, yeah, we see that push to the upside where we then even break past this level, which is the X wave or the wave Z origin. And yeah, that could then potentially mean that we ended up seeing that bottom at 70.14 cents, and we see that push to the upside. Now, as far as the stochastic RSI goes, you can see that the bears currently do have the momentum. So if I remove this for now, just so the chart's more clearer. And of course, that's reflected on the price chart where we've seen consecutive red candlesticks. And if I go in the 4-hour chart, you can see that we are within the oversold region where we are below 20. And so I'm looking at for the bulls to regain control of the market. And so for us to be bullish, then first and foremost, we need to retest that 50 EMA level at 70.75 cents. And then find support at that level and see that continuation to the upside. And if we do get rejected, then that could be a bearish signal. And again, that could mean that we see a deeper move to the downside where we even tap into this range here. But of course, we do need further confirmation as things stand at the moment. Right now, we do have this double XY structure that's forming potentially. And yeah, the next move that I'll be looking at for is a continuation to the upside, where assuming, just for the sake of this video, that we end up bottoming out at this level at 70.3 cents. Then what we could see is ALGO reach the 200 DMA potentially. And if we get rejected, then that would be a bearish signal and we could see a continuation to the downside. However, if we find support at that level, then that could be a bullish signal and it's possible that we end up bottoming out at this level. And so yeah, that's just my update on ALGO, and hopefully you found this useful. And if you did, then feel free to hit that like button. And if you're new, feel free to subscribe. Take it easy, people. Peace.